Welcome to the Thought Brothers. Today is September 6th, and it's prime time. We're
Come
kicking
on.
it off. Prime time, Coach Prime. I'm Gary Johnson, a.k.a. Mr. Producer, big Whitney Houston fan. Going to swing it over to our prime time, our coach for this evening, Carlos, the banker man. Don't forget to introduce your fan over here in the corner.
Well, let's do this, man. We got the wonderful producer, Gary Johnson. Gary, thank you for coming to the stage tonight. We have the wonderful agitator, Mr. William Bill Spivey. Thank you for coming to the stage tonight.
And I will be agitating.
I'm sure you will. But coming to the biggest stage of all was my man, Deion Primetime Sanders, this past Saturday, as the Colorado Buffaloes upset the TCU with Horned Frogs 45-42 down in Texas. Man, what's going on, man? You ain't supposed to have no HBCU two-year coach come up here with an HBCU, with three HBCU sons. One of them going to play quarterback in a top 5 conference, and he can't play, man. There's no way he's going to be competitive. What is going on, man? Are y'all crazy? Just because the man was an all-pro receiver don't mean he's going to be an all-pro coach. Just because he could coach it at an HBCU don't mean he can coach in Division I football. Well, it looked like Deion got some receipts. It looked like Deion getting real comfortable up in this joint. Deion, yes, I said that joint, okay? Deion was breaking it down after this victory. And I think the thing, to me, that's most impressive is you realize the team they beat was the team that played for the national championship last year.
That's right. That's right.
Now, he didn't just beat a Division I school from a top 5 conference. He beat the team that played for the national championship. Okay? Didn't they dismantle Michigan to get in the Final Four to get to the championship game? So he couldn't have come out really against a worse opponent unless he was coming out against Alabama, Ohio State, or Michigan. So you follow me, right? I mean, who else he gonna? I mean, TCU was a good team. I believe they still are a good team. I believe TCU will be in a bowl. I believe that Coach Prime has found something. He's found a way to bring his message to a different level. And I think it also says something about how good the talent at HBCUs is, right? Again, growing up, going back to quoting my father. Hey, Dad, where Tampa Bay's quarterback come from? That guy, Doug Williams, man. Too many brothers in the league right now. Late 70s. Was it him and the other guy? Was it Vince Evans for Chicago?
Yep.
Got 2 quarterbacks out of all of them. And and what's up with that, man? Where Doug Williams come from? He said Grambling. I said Grambling. Yeah, I said, that sounds familiar. I think I saw a movie about a Coach Robinson or something. He said, yeah. He said, did you know that most of the majority or a huge number of NFL players came from black schools like Grambling? And this is like back in the late 70s, early 80s. I'm having this conversation where I'm a little kid trying to get into football. I'm scratching my head, right? I'm trying to figure this whole thing out. And really, I think it says that maybe we, for whatever reason, NFL scouts got away. You talking about guys like Buck Buchanan for Kansas City and, Fred the Hammer Williams. And you talking about even guys who had flashes of brilliance like Joe Gilliam and guys that. How come they stopped recruiting? Or I'm not going to say stop recruiting, but how come the emphasis was taken off black schools? Why do we only have to go to the SEC and the Big Ten and the Pac-12 and sometimes the ACC and the Big 12? Okay, that's cool. They're good conferences. They're great conferences. I mean, let's face it, the SEC and Big Ten are probably like NFL minor leagues. Okay, all right. we understand. But the HBCUs, man, we talking Walter Payton and Jerry Rice. Come on, man.
Mississippi Valley State. Jerry Rice. Man. Come on, man.
So is what Deion doing that extraordinary? Yes, it is. But has it always been there? Is it just an untapped resource that people have chosen to ignore? like Arsenio Hall said, things that make you say, because look, anytime, if any quarterback throws for 500 yards in a game,
Headline.
in a Division I game,
headline, 4
touchdowns and no interceptions, Lord have mercy. If any quarterback does that, you're in the running for the Heisman. But this kid supposedly his son wasn't supposed to be able to do any of this coming to Division I football. Man, I saw that press conference and Deion called some people out talking about receipts and getting comfortable. And do you believe now? And one reporter wouldn't even answer the question. He said, "Oh, you ain't answered the question." That tells me right there what the answer is. Next question. Yep. All right, Gary, let me start rolling. Before I go to the agitator, come on, Gary, what's your thoughts on Deion prime time in Colorado? To me, it's must-see TV.
Must-see TV for his next game, brother. Can you imagine what the ratings are going to be? And what the crowd is going to be like at home? Come on, man. I'm going to be in front of my big screen. I'm going to be checking it out.
I know that's right.
I'm a fan of Coach Prime. He did it the unconventional way and is working. Man, don't let him have a good game coming up on Saturday, man. Come on. I'm all out. I'm all in for Coach Prime.
And you know what?
Cash me in. I'm all in.
Hey, look, you know what I really like about it? When I heard the press conference, he Coach Prime not only got the victory, but he sounded like a coach. They got some things that didn't happen right on special teams. They gave up some 42 points, right? So he called out his defense. He called out his special teams. He was happy with the offense. I mean, they scored 45 points. Quarterback throws over 500 yards and 4 touchdowns. Running game looks great. So, but he knows he has opportunity, and that's really what great coaches do. They not only accept the victory, but they find ways to continuously get better. Because you cannot take a victory and just automatically think the next opponent is going to be scared of you. No, you better prepare just as hard. You better make sure you're just as ready. And you better put a little bit extra sauce on it, because now they've seen your game plan from the previous week. So now he's probably going to have to run several different plays. He didn't run this week. So the question I'm opposed to the agitator: how many games Deion gonna win this year, Mr. Spivey? Come on, talk to me. What Deion got?
You know, I'll put it to you like this: he's already won 1 game. If he wins 1 more, that's 1 more than Colorado won last year, because they went 1-11.
All right.
That's the first thing. And secondly, I think last year their average loss was 29 points a game. That's how bad they got beat. But Carlos, I'm going to sit back and I'm gonna watch, because it's going to be interesting this year, because you talked about Grambling. And Grambling's coach was Eddie Robinson.
Yes.
Eddie Robinson probably put more African-American football players in the NFL than any coach. I remember 1 year, or it may have been 2 years, Grambling went totally undefeated and never got an invitation to a bowl game. Eddie Robinson never got asked to coach an NFL team. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Colorado State, because if Deion does what he did on Saturday, it's going to be interesting to see if Colorado State gets invited to a bowl game.
Keep it Colorado, not Colorado State.
I mean Colorado.
Colorado Buffalo.
It's interesting because the team they played in a bowl game last year. But the thing that always amazes me is why people continue to doubt Deion, why people continue to bet against Deion. When Deion, in September of 2020, Deion started at Jackson State, and it was a whole bunch of hoopla about they could have found somebody else, and just because Deion was a good football player didn't mean that he was going to be a good coach. And when you go back and look, and Deion talked about it during the press conference, Deion has been coaching for 20-some years. He started off with young kids, and his son was one of them. And, they talked about he was not going to be good at Jackson State. The first year he was there, he won 11 games. The next year he was there, 12-0. And he goes to the, what is that? The championship game, the SWAC. So, it just continues to amaze me why these sports writers, or what is their motive to continue to bet against him. I mean, the man has proven himself. He's proven himself to be a winner at Jackson. He's now proven himself to be a winner at Colorado, at least one game. And this game coming up this week, he's going against the Nebraska Cornhuskers. And that's going to be a game. Now, if he wins this one, I'm wondering what the hoopla is going to be next week following that. And there was a guy, he's a Yahoo sports analyst. If you can go back and you can pull it, his name is Tom Lovenville. And he talked about, is that it? You got it, Gary. Can you play that?
Let's see what we got here. Let's see what we got for this young man.
Front on both sides of the ball. I don't know how they're going to keep their quarterback upright. I think we're gonna finally see, for all the hoopla and all of the hype going into the offseason with Deion Sanders in Colorado, it does not mask the fact that they don't have any players.
All right, so that's what Tom said. So
and that's just a prime example. But Carlos, I don't know if you read about the all of the things that they were saying, and the reason that he came up with that analogy, and like you said something one time before on the show. Just because you're a good football player doesn't make you a good analyst or make you a good reporter. They were critical of Deion because I'm not sure you're aware, and our listeners may not be aware, but Deion got rid of 60 players when he got to Colorado. Yep. And the only 3, I think, basically he kept was his son, Travis Hunter, and his other son. And he pulled 60 players off the portal. Now, you think about that. You bring in 60 people that have never played together before, don't know each other, and you turn around and beat the number 17 team.
With 2 of your sons, and Travis Hunter played both sides of the field.
Played both sides of the field, caught touchdown passes, and got an interception.
Yeah.
So, I just wanted to say, continue to doubt Deion and continue to look like a fool. That's all I'll say.
Deion was also smart enough to surround himself with one hell of a staff too.
Oh yeah.
He took great pains to pick his staff as well.
He took great pains to pick a staff and a football team because the players that had been there the year before, all of them left because Deion had a couple of things to say. He didn't want to hear about anything that had been done the year before. He didn't want to hear about anything the coaches had done. He was starting fresh, and he was starting a program. And if you couldn't deal with it, you needed to leave. So 60 people hit the bricks, and he brought 60 more in.
Well, how about this, guys? Think about, I have the answer to why people didn't believe in Deion and why people still may not believe in Deion. I'm going to throw a couple names out there for you, and you tell me what comes to mind. And I'm going to start with a player named Rob Johnson, who played for the Buffalo Bills back in the early 2000s, okay?
Oh, wow, yeah.
6'4", about 220 pounds. He looked like a great quarterback.
Yes.
He looked like a great quarterback. But a guy 5'10", scrappy like Doug Flutie, every time they put Doug in the game, Doug would win the game. Doug was so good for Buffalo at this time, they kept trying to find a reason to put Rob Johnson in. And every time Doug would come in, they would win. Doug got them to the playoffs. And I think barring the miracle at Tennessee, but Doug got them to the playoffs. They had a fit after they got rid of Doug Flutie. I think Buffalo had like a 15-year playoff drought. They were so convinced. They were so convinced that they needed the prototypical 6'4", 220-pound quarterback. Okay. Ralph Friedgen, coach at the University of Maryland, never got any accolades, in my opinion. And he had 3 consecutive 10-win seasons at Maryland, not Ohio State, not Penn State, not Tennessee, not UCLA. He never got the accolades, okay? He never got a chance to coach in the NFL. He was also the offensive coordinator when Bobby Ross won 3 straight ACC championships at University of Maryland in the 1980s. He never got the opportunity to coach in the NFL. Basically, what I'm trying to say, guys, we did a show a while back. We talked about the number of African-American coaches in the NFL. We talked about the Rooney Rule. 20 years ago, we had 2. And I think at the time of the show, we had 2. I think we might be up to 3 now. Okay. Hey, look, other than what Mike Tomlin and I can't even tell you, guy from Houston, okay, that's 2. And I think we may have some other coaches that may have mixed ethnicity, but basically 2 complete brothers. All right. So anyway, the point I'm trying to make here, one of the reasons why there weren't more Black NFL coaches, and on that list from a reputable news source, which I won't put out there, don't look the part. Doug Flutie didn't look the part as a quarterback. Ralph Friedgen didn't look the part as a top-tier Division I football coach. And Deion Sanders doesn't look the part. Nick Saban, looks the part. I'm gonna say, hey, what's it? The Harbaugh, Mr. Harbaugh from Michigan, looks the part. Deion don't look the part, man. So, and, it's a shame that we live in a country where, perception is still reality. I mean, Deion has a different style, but what? He doesn't dress sloppy. I mean, he dresses actually pretty nice. I mean, it's not like he doesn't have a whistle. He has a whistle. Not like he doesn't wear a hat. He wears a variety of hats. I mean, so in other words, it's just perception. What we've grown to know as acceptable is why people don't believe and don't want to support you. So I think that, we have to take a look at ourselves to see, hey, what does that say about us? What does that say about us? We don't want to give somebody a shot because they don't look the part. Come on, man. And now Colorado is like, we got y'all now, man. And if this thing works out, this is going to be the greatest hire in the history of college football. And y'all passed on him. Everybody passed on him. Everybody passed on him if this works out. Now, before we move to our next topic, I want to go down the schedule for Colorado. Like Mr. Spivey said, we got a victory at TCU. Okay. They play in Nebraska. Now, Nebraska ain't the Tom Osborne Nebraska that rolled it up back in the day. Okay. But it's still Nebraska. And in Colorado, what I'm looking at here is now ranked 22 in the country. Okay. They must have just updated that today. They are in the top 25 team. They are playing Nebraska on Saturday. I'm be honest with you. Nebraska, again, is not that same team we used to know. I think they can go 2-0. Okay. After that, on September 16th, they play Colorado Buffaloes play Colorado State Rams. I think they can go 3-0. Okay. Colorado, this is where it's a little tougher. Number 22, Colorado, now will play in week 4, September 23rd. Number 13, Oregon. Well, look.
It's a tough game.
That's going to be a tough one. And then after that, September 30th, they play number 6, USC. Okay. So let's look at this, right? Let's say I believe in Deion, but let's say in a worst case scenario, they don't beat Oregon and they don't beat USC. Okay. That still puts them at 3-2. They play Arizona State. I believe they can get Arizona State. That's 4-2. They play Stanford. I believe they can get Stanford. That's 5-2. They play UCLA, which is not ranked. Chip Kelly. I think he can get UCLA. They also play Oregon State. I think they can get Oregon State. They play Arizona, who's not ranked. I think they can get them. Washington State and Utah. I'm be honest. I think right now we're looking at let's see, 1, 2, 3. We're looking at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think we're looking at 10-2. I could be wrong.
10-2?
10-2. Only 2 games I see them losing right now is Oregon and USC back to back, which will make people question them because they'll be 3-2 at that point. But the rest of the teams currently aren't ranked. They're not ranked. They're in the Pac. The Pac-12, but they're not ranked. So, and I'm gonna be, if they beat Oregon or USC.
I mean, there is such a thing as momentum. That's true. And he does have them believing. He's changed the culture
Well,
He's
Carlos, like
changed
I
the culture.
said, if he wins one more game, that's one more than they won last year.
You're right. So he's in a
Last year they were 1-11,
you can't
and
lose.
so
He's in a no-lose position.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll fall short, but I'm hoping, and I sincerely believe Deion is capable of flipping that number the other way around. Instead of 1-11, making it
Yeah.
11-1.
Yeah, I think so
Because
too.
I think Oregon's going to be a tough get, but I'm not going to put it past him. I will never bet against Deion.
How about this one? And what are the odds now? I mean, his son came out with that quarterback position and played. I mean, incredible.
Lights out.
If he does it one more week, you got to put him in Heisman. You got to put him in the Heisman.
Yes, you got to put him in the conversation.
And you know, we're jumping the gun soon, right? But I think based on what we saw, look, I'm a Washington Commanders fan. Okay, I've been a Washington football NFL fan my whole life. I was almost gone if Dan Snyder didn't leave this past year, but I came home because we give the new owner an opportunity. Okay, Josh Harris, give you a chance, right? But what I'm saying is, man, I've been looking for a quarterback about 30 years up in Washington. They found one in Colorado, even though it's college football, in 1 week. God, I mean, come on, man. I'm a little envious at this point. This dude I ain't seen 500 yards from a Washington quarterback since probably Sammy Ball in the 1930s, 40s, or early 50s. Look, this don't happen much when you get any quarterback that can throw for 500 yards in a game. That don't happen on any level. Some guys play their whole pro career and never throw for 500. There are guys who played their whole college career and never threw for 500. This guy did it in his debut.
And he made it look easy.
Yes, he didn't throw an interception.
He made it look easy.
And if you listen to Mr. Ludville, his comment was it's going to be hard for him to stay upright because the line was not going to be able to protect him. Yeah. You know, but Carlos, I'll say this to you. If he throws for 500 yards in a couple of more games, or even 300 yards in a couple of more games, your team might want to look at him for the draft.
I would think so. I would think so. We got to look at, now again, we're jumping the gun early, but I think we've gotten enough information where we could probably jump the gun early. Like I said, if they had beat a team that was, 0-12 last year, they beat a team played for the national championship. I don't care if they lost 10 starters, and that's a well-coached team that upset some big programs last year. So that's where we're at for Deion. So are you a believer? I can't. Yes.
I'm definitely a believer.
Yeah, I'm a believer, man. So it's primetime, must-see TV. So you put Deion Sanders up there, right? So all the networks, y'all listen networks, okay? Just like with Serena, when Serena Williams plays, or Venus, or especially Serena, when Serena Williams plays, you got to watch it, whether you like tennis or not. When Tiger Woods play, I don't care if he's had 10 injuries, but he's also got like 150 championships. You got to watch it. Now, when college football comes on and Deion Sanders is coaching, you got to watch it. This is must-see TV. We don't know what's going to happen, man. So I think that everybody will benefit from this, the sponsors. I think it's going to be a similar situation right now to what we saw when, there's no coincidence that black quarterbacks got drafted at a much higher level after Doug Williams threw 4 touchdown passes in 1 quarter against Denver in 1988. They're like, oh, I guess black guys can play. So then all these black quarterbacks start getting drafted. There's no coincidence. They were still like, what, at that time, remember, there was only 2 black starting quarterbacks at the time Doug Williams won the Super Bowl. He wasn't even one of them. It was Warren Moon and Randall Cunningham. He came off the bench late in the season in relief of Jay Schrader and led him to the playoff Super Bowl. So black quarterbacks started getting drafted because of the way Doug Williams played the finest game probably. Joe Gibbs even said that they didn't want to run up the score. So they just ran the ball in the second half, and Timmy Smith somehow got 200 and some yards. They would just dominate. It was just that much of a domination. They could have scored 60 if they wanted. So I think what's going to happen now with Deion, what he's doing, he's setting up, I think, HBCUs for a bigger spotlight, because now they're saying, man, it's a lot of talent down there. Okay. And now he's going to set up, hopefully, this Division I thing. We did 113 schools in Division I, 13 black coaches. Okay. NFL, 32 teams, 3 black. So now people are going to start taking notice, like, damn, maybe we should put our feelings aside and let's just try to win some games. And if you're the Washington Commanders, and you haven't had a quarterback, a consistent quarterback for 30 years. Take a look, man. We might have a quarterback out in Colorado that would draft. I mean, if somebody else don't get him first. So I'm just saying, we gotta basically put our feelings to the side, man, and you just gotta believe. Bam! What you got? That's all I got on that.
Man, look.
You got to keep in mind, he's a hell of a quarterback, and he threw for 500 yards, but he doesn't fit that mold that you were talking
He's
about.
6'4".
Huh?
He ain't 6'4".
He ain't 6'4".
He ain't 220.
That's right.
He don't look a certain way.
You got it.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna be like a lot of people on Saturday. I'm gonna get my chores done early around the house.
Get your popcorn.
That's
popcorn.
it.
One of the things I can
ready.
tell you with Deion winning that game against what was it? TCU.
Yeah.
The viewing of college football is going to go through the roof now.
Yes.
Oh.
Because there was a lot of publicity about it, and people are going to look at college football. I remember years ago when Tiger Woods came on the scene and he won Augusta by 12 strokes. Mm-hmm. They said the viewing of golf tripled of what it had been before. So you're going to see a lot of people watching college football now, including myself, because I was not a big college football fan, but I set my recorder to record every Colorado game.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. Agree with that. Well, guys, I'll tell you what. With that being said, man, hey, what's up, my man, Mr. Enriqueo, with the Proud Boys? What's going on, man? Proud Boys. I remember President Trump. What's that on talking about the Proud Boys? You don't want to upset the Proud Boys. It looks like the leader of the Proud Boys has got 18 years. What's going on, Mr. Spivey? What's going on, Gary? Somebody.
I don't think that. Well, I can't say that. I was gonna say I don't think that Proud Boy is still proud today, but
he was defiant.
But when the judge gave him 18 years and he was leaving the courtroom, I think he blurted out, "Trump won."
Yeah.
I said this on another show, and I'm gonna say it again. I'm just perplexed, and I cannot understand how people can put their freedom in jeopardy for a reality show host. I just can't understand it. I mean, you got people who will follow this guy. Now you got 18 people that's indicted down in Georgia for following behind this guy. You got a cult of people who finance him. He flew in on a private plane to be fingerprinted and photographed, and they paid for it. You got people following this guy who probably can't even pay their rent and can't pick their car payment or their mortgage payments or whatever, but they're sending money to this guy. And it blows my mind how people can give up their freedom. I look at freedom, time is something that you can never get back. When you waste your time doing anything, that's gone. It's never going to come back. And so you can sit around and waste your time on this guy when, you heard people say, oh, they're setting him up. They're going after him because he's a front runner for the presidency. You don't have to go too far. You just need to listen to his conversation with the people in Georgia when he was trying to get them to find 11,800 some votes, or listen to his conversation at his golf course in New Jersey, where he's bragging about how he would declassify this document if he was still in the White House. Now you got him in Mar-a-Lago. One of his people today flipped and said that he worked with him to try to get rid of videotape down in Mar-a-Lago. So, when you sit around and say, oh, they set him up, they're trying to set him up, the only thing you have to do is listen to this guy. I saw this guy in an interview with a Fox 5 reporter, and the reporter asked him simply, why didn't you give back the classified documents when the Department of Justice asked you to give them back? He said, well, I couldn't give. And whenever you see this, Start remembering, whenever you see this, a lie is getting ready to come out. And he said, well, I couldn't give them back because you need to understand, I had golf shoes, golf pants,
Oh yeah,
golf balls, and everything in the same boxes. And so I needed to go through the boxes. Idiot. Classified documents is exactly what it says. They're supposed to be put in a skiff, a special room. You don't put them with your golf clothes. So, the only thing you have to do is listen to this guy's interview. Now, I know Gary's been talking about, he should be back in jail for what he's saying and all of the ramblings of his mouth. But you really don't want this guy in jail, because the more he talks, the more he makes your case and digs a hole for himself. But I'm just amazed how people just follow behind this former reality show host. What was it? The show he had?
The Apprentice. The Apprentice.
The Apprentice. I mean, and that really, really, really makes him qualified. He's never been a senator, never been a congressman, never been a mayor, never been a governor. But that really makes him qualified to be president.
Well, look, guys, I'm going to tell you two things about to blow your mind. You ready for this? Breaking news on the Thought Brothers, right? Breaking news.
On.
Okay.
Come on.
All right. So I want you guys to know there was once upon a time where I was a huge Donald Trump fan. I felt like he was on the cover of Time magazine holding an ace. I'm like, damn, this guy's a great businessman. He's got taking New York City by storm. He's buying casinos in Atlantic City. He seems to be living the life that everybody wants. I think he was hanging out with Michael Jackson and Bubbles.
Everybody. He's hanging out with everybody.
He was hanging out with Mike Tyson. I said,
Yeah.
God, this guy's got money. He's making business deals. He's doing things. Then he got the Apprentice. He even showed up on Home Alone too, I think, in the hallway.
Yeah.
He had what's that? The Apprentice going. I said, God, I thought it was funny as heck when he was firing people. I mean, the only problem is this thing is not too funny when you become president and you start taking classified documents to your basement and start bragging to your friends about what you got. I mean, they're classified for a reason. I mean, look, I'm from Washington, D.C. originally. Gary, Mr. Spivey, you work for the federal government in D.C. DMV area. From the people I've just spoken to who have not released any classified information to me, who just said, Carlos, some of that stuff on classified documents, I can just say, most of the information we don't want to know about. Hey, look, some of it's so bad or so scary, we really don't want to know about it. Let them handle that. It's classified for a reason, okay? And I mean, how close we? You look at some of these news specials in 1983. How close we were to what, nuclear war with Reagan, and somebody pushing the button, and it was really that close, and all this crap. We were almost all gone and wouldn't even be here right now. So I think the key is with this is, we really have to take a good look at ourselves, right? The people who are following him almost like a cult. Look, I like what's his name, McCain, military veteran. He spoke up against George Bush. He was a Republican. I'll be honest with you, I probably would have voted for him. I mean, he at least he was a man who had some honor and integrity. He challenged Trump left and right, and he was a Republican. Okay, he's a Republican. So people say, hey, you guys are just Democrats, and you just bash Republicans, I probably voted for McCain. I mean, I respect the service to the country. I respect his tenure, and I respect the fact that he wasn't scared to speak up against any other Republican, whether it be George Bush, Donald Trump, whoever the case may have been. Now, obviously, the good one is no longer with us. It's like, bless his heart, in heaven and all that. He's no longer with us. But that's one way you have to look at this thing, because this is almost like a cult-like following. That's very dangerous. When you think about cults, the most powerful words I ever heard was when I went and did a financial seminar at a high school. And I listened to a high school student talk about leadership. Now, when I took ROTC, one of the things they ingrained in my brain in high school for 3 years in high school, 1 year college. You take 2 years in college, you're going to be obligated. So anyway, I did my one. Anyway, you learn that leadership is the art of influencing a person, people, or team to accomplish a specified mission or task. You hear me on that, right? Well, this high school student said when he was asked to give 2 examples of great leaders, he goes, Martin Luther King. You always give Martin Luther King, right? That's leadership, right? It is what it is, right? Everybody knows Martin Luther King. He was a leader. How he did what he did back in the day, I wouldn't want to get arrested over 100 times. I wouldn't want to go through half the stuff he had to go through. All right, so everybody agreed on that. So everybody's like, yeah, man, this guy's gonna be a good, great speaker. Then all of a sudden he goes, I'm not even gonna say the guy's name because I don't want anybody to be mad at the Thought Brothers. So I'm just gonna say he referenced a leader of the Nazi party from World War II. I said, oh my God. Everybody looked around, said, oh my God, did he just say what we thought he said? Did he call that guy's name? The guy with the little mustache? And the high school kid, he was brilliant. He goes, hey, well, check this out. Remember, these were both leaders. They were both effective leaders. One was an effective leader, and one was an effective evil leader. Regardless of what you think about them, they got people to follow them.
Yep.
They got people to follow them at the highest level. And when you think about this is sort of what's going on with Trump right now. No matter what he does, right now I can't think of the good stuff, but no matter what he does, from a crazy perspective, I can keep classified documents that might put us all in danger in my basement next to my golf balls and shoes, and golf shoes, and it's okay. It's not okay. Most of the stuff he's been doing is not okay. Just because it's not illegal to take a seat on a bus or a subway car from an 80-year-old woman, it's not illegal. You can do it. You can make a stand. It's not illegal. Okay. Doesn't make it right when you do it. So I think, again, we have to take a good look at ourselves to see what are we doing. And I don't think it's going to change. I think what's going to happen is with Trump's base, I think his base is going to die off. I heard on WTOP in Washington that the base for Biden and Trump is dying off. They're aging. Yeah. And I do believe the younger people, are going to look at a different way. I believe at some point, basically because Biden and Trump, and even guys like Mitch McConnell, who's had some health problems recently, have held on. Nancy Pelosi finally, I guess she stepped aside. But some of these people have held on so long that when the next wave of political superheroes comes up, they're not going to be like 5 years behind them or 10 years. Because you tell me these people basically 80 or closing in on 80 or past 80. So they're not going to be 70. They're not even going to be 60. They might be. You're probably looking at the next wave of superheroes probably going to be at least 30 years younger, at least 30 years younger. Okay. So that's going to change the dynamic of the whole country. The problem is, if Trump wins, can we make it through another 4 years without people losing their minds?
Trump has done a masterful job as a con man, convincing, because he's one of the guys who, if you say it often enough, he believes it and the people will believe it. He always references the Democratic, this, but if you look at the charges and where they're coming from, they're almost exclusively from Republicans or people that he hired. The FBI director, he hired the FBI director.
Yeah.
The Republicans that testified in the J6 committee who stood up in Georgia, they're Republicans. They said they voted for him, but no, they drew the line. They had courage. They stood up. And all these other 91 felonies. Come on, man. Most of these charges are coming from people that he either hired or Republicans, but he has done a masterful job of convincing his cult following that it's all against him. It's the Democrats. It's this-led justice system. It's weaponized. He was the one who started weaponizing the FBI. He was the one who started it. But you know what? He's also the guy who threw his son under the bus. That tells you a lot about him. That tells you a lot about him. And you know what? That was just Eric. Don Jr.'s next. He would throw Ivanka under the bus. He'll throw anybody under the bus. Ask Michael Cohen. He keeps telling them, Donald Trump cares about no one else but himself.
And Gary, there's a lot of people, and you know this for a fact, there's a lot of people sitting in jail because they mishandled classified documents.
I know some people did. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, it's just, I know I'll take a hit on this, but, you know, when I think of Donald Trump and his cult, I think of Jim Jones.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
The
That's exactly,
Kool-Aid.
that's exactly what I think of.
The
Because, you know,
Kool-Aid.
Donald Trump made a statement one time and he said he could shoot somebody on Park Avenue in New York and nothing would happen to him.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
That was the mindset of Jim Jones. And I really associate his cult with Jim Jones because I think from what I saw with these people on January the 6th, giving up their freedom and going out of the courtroom hollering, you know, Trump won, that tells me if he told you to drink some Kool-Aid, you would probably do it.
Oh yeah.
So I basically, when I think about his following, I think about Jim Jones. Yeah.
Deranged sociopath.
And one of the other things I want to bring up, which is
Come
kind of
on,
hilarious,
come on.
is these African American people who are falling, who are part of the Kool-Aid group.
A-hole jackasses.
Yeah, and you know there were what 18 people indicted with Trump. He's number 19. Trump, he flew in on his plane and he got his picture taken, which he's made a lot of money off of. And, you know, not a hair out of place. Makeup was perfect.
Yep.
He flew in and he flew out. 17 others came in, got their picture taken, fingerprinted, and they left. But one guy, I think his name is Harrison Floyd, he showed up from Maryland, got his picture taken, but he didn't leave. He ended up staying in jail for 4 or 5 days. And it was ironic. He was able to get a hearing before a judge. And she told him that he was not going to be released because he was considered a flight risk. Now,
he takes a nice picture. He takes a nice picture.
He takes a nice, and by the way, he was a little upset because when they, I think, booked him, they booked him as a African American. So he was a little upset about that. But the judge told him, she said,
What?
I'm not going to release you because you are a flight risk. And I found that to be unbelievable because who is more of a flight risk than the man who has his own private aircraft? Who can get in the air and tell his pilot, go this place and I'll go that place. But
incredible.
Yeah. So hopefully, and then there's I think an African American female. She apparently missed being detained, and she was able to get in and get out. But it was ironic. 18 people showed up, 17 left, and only one was detained. And he was detained allegedly because he had an outstanding warrant for assault on 2 FBI agents who was issuing a subpoena on him to testify before Jack Smith's grand jury, and he refused, and he was arrested for that. So you know,
do you have a violin for that, brother? A tiny one or what? I mean,
no,
I don't get it.
I have no violin whatsoever because I've said before, and I'll continue to say it, and I'll take the hit on it. If Donald Trump had his way, he would make America great again. He would go into the White House. He would get every Carnival cruise ship, every Royal Caribbean cruise ship, back it up to the port, and he put every black and brown person he could find on the ship and send it out to sea. So, hey, I'll take the hit on that because that's just a fact.
Crazy.
Oh, my goodness.
Crazy. Well, I don't know what to say about that other than we all just need to take a good look at ourselves. I also want to thank Congress from, what was that, the late, somewhere around 1940s, where they said a president couldn't be president longer than 2 terms. Because I think Franklin Delano Roosevelt, what did he do, 3-4 terms before he passed away?
Yeah.
And at that point, I guess they went ahead and amended amended to the Constitution and said, hey, 2 terms. 2 terms is the most person can be a president. So I think that was a good thing because when you look at this whole thing is leadership and views, are going to change from time to time. And at some point, we all have to move on, with in a different direction. So I commend those gentlemen and I guess ladies or whoever was working back then on Capitol Hill to make that change, because as you can see now, we need it. So if Donald Trump does win again, he has 4 years. He will not be back for another term. Mr. Biden, I'm hoping he just lets somebody else run, because he's already in his 80s and he's slowing down. And I think we just got to get some new political superheroes out there. So hopefully, each party can have somebody who can step up and make it and make politics a little bit more of a must see. Because right now, the only thing we got must see since Tiger Woods is injured and Serena Williams is retired is Deion Sanders, baby, in Colorado Buffaloes.
Well, I tell you somebody, Carlos, you better look out for it.
We
and
got,
check
sir.
it out tomorrow night. It's Coco Golf.
Okay, Coco. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Coco.
If she wins this match, she'll be in the
Coco.
final at the U.S. Open.
Yes, sir. Down with Coco. So I'm hoping Coco can do something and pull it out.
I think Coco is going. I think she's going to be a force to be reckoned with for the future. And then I understand some African American girl just won the swimming championship. I guess past weekend. So it's going to be interesting. But I have no idea who the Democrats could even have. I've not even heard any other person's name. I don't think anybody's talking about anybody else. And it's something that you really, really need to be concerned about, because these last few incidents that I've seen with Mitch McConnell standing at a podium and just going completely dumbfounded. Just think about Mitch McConnell is 81 years of age. And
you might be older than that. Yeah, I think
he is 81, and
he's 81. Okay.
Your current president is 80. So by the time he comes out of office in 4 years.
Okay, because Smokey Robinson is 107, right? So he looks good. Smokey looks good.
Hey man, Smokey looked real good. Smokey was in the 1950s and early 60s when Motown was just getting off the ground, and he's still here in 2023. And Smokey,
seriously, he still look good.
He looks terrific.
He just won some. He just won some lawsuit.
I need some of that.
Smokey just won a lawsuit against him by some old person that he had worked with years ago that took him to court to try to sue him. And he just won a lawsuit. I saw some pictures. He does. He looks real good for his age.
I had a barroom argument today with a guy about Babyface. And I was showing him a concert of NPR. They have Tiny Desk concerts on NPR, and they're really, really good. And I told this dude, young dude, I said, let me tell you something, man. Say what you want, but Babyface is our generation's Smokey Robinson.
Probably
the
so.
The songs that he has written for the wide range of artists.
Yeah.
And the guy, he called me back and he said, man, I watched that NPR thing. He said, I didn't know that Babyface wrote that song for Tevin Campbell. I didn't know he wrote this for Tony Braxton. I didn't know he wrote this for Boys to Men. I said, shut up. I tried to tell you, man. Babyface.
You tried to tell him, Gary.
Now I tell you who, oh man, I want to say this. I get in trouble. It might be, it's probably time for a legend like Frankie Beverly to give it up. I saw him on, if you go to YouTube, I don't know, might be some health issues there, but then you look at somebody like Ron Isley, 82 years old, still getting it done, man.
Yeah.
Still getting it done. So one day maybe we'll just have to have a barroom argument on one of our next shows about artists who probably should be off the stage by now.
You know, a lot of people don't realize that a lot of these artists, they write songs for many groups. Like back in the day, Curtis Mayfield, man, he used to write for everybody, the Temptations, the Impressions. He wrote for everyone. And I think, what was it? One of the songs that Kenny Rogers made famous. Lionel Richie wrote.
Oh, Lionel Richie, later.
Yeah, Lionel Richie was another one that wrote a lot of songs.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, he wrote
several
country
there's
songs.
so many of these guys. When Prince died, they say they found a vault with over 700 songs that Prince had written that never even came out. Same with Michael Jackson. I mean, these guys are just, they are on a different level. I think they just hear music in their ears.
It's a gift. It's a gift.
It is.
I'd agree.
Yep. Hey, look, before we close out, man, let's do a prediction, man. Is Deion going to be 2-0 or what?
Deion's definitely 2-0.
I'm in 2-0. I done
already gave you 11-1. So
hey, look, I said 10-2. I said 10-2, man. Unless the
I gave you
11-1.
I gave you 11-1. I mean, like I said, he went to Jackson State. They hadn't won anything. And the first year there, they won 11 games and lost 1. The next year they were 12-0. So it's gonna be interesting. There's an old saying, you go with the horse that brung you. Deion has convinced me that he's a hell of a coach, and he knows his real talent is he knows how to get people to motivate and put them on a level. That's the thing. And to your point, Carlos, to your point about the NFL, I heard Deion in an interview, and a person asked him, they said, if you're successful at Colorado, there's a possibility that you might get tapped to come into the NFL as a head coach. And Deion's reply was, absolutely not. I will never coach a bunch of overpaid kids.
Oh, he ought to know. He was there.
Hey, look, Mr. Spivey, I understand what Deion's saying. I'm glad Deion, has some what's that? Some limits. But Deion also said one day that he back in the day that he loves the money and he will follow the money, and God will put him in a place where he can continue to make this money and all that good stuff. So I just see that perception possibly changing. I'm thinking 2 years at Colorado, if he does a great job, basically the same thing he did at Jackson State for 2 years, stays at Colorado for 2 years. I think, you're right. Probably get tapped for the NFL. We'll see what happens.
They back that Brinks truck up. They back that Brinks truck up.
They back it up. They back it up.
I'm going to remind my esteemed thought brother that when Deion made that statement was when he was asked, why did he leave Dallas to come to watch the Redskins?
Yeah,
and he said, I played football in Dallas. I'm going to Washington to get paid.
And that what he made $50 million for one year, and that was back then. That was back in 99.
I was in the stands. I was one of the guys in the stands,
and I was sitting right beside you.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
All right, fellas.
We
had a good one, man. This is good. We will see what happens. We stay in touch during the week, so I'm sure we'll be texting on Saturday to see what's going on. Prime time. I'm Gary Johnson for the Thought Brothers. We'll see you next week. We are out of here.
All right.
Have a good week, people.
Have a good weekend, everybody. Thanks.
Right.